Hello friends, today I'm going to talk about two completely different things, but two things that are connected. They are a reaction to 2 or 3 videos I watched recently. The first one is about children being burnt alive in Gaza. I have to tell you, I normally don't watch these videos not because I want to put it aside and don't want to know what is going on, or I just want to think positive or something like that. It's actually the opposite. It's just that I don't want to see too much of this barbarity that's going on, because I don't want to get used to it. I don't want to get to the point where I watch one horror and not react and not feel something about it. I don't want to become inane. So I think it's for me, at any rate, I don't watch them. But I was watching something else, and they were talking about it, and they show a child being burnt alive. I don't know if they're still there, but apparently you see they were queuing up, or they were all together there because they were being given the vaccine against polio. Yes, a little drop like that. You see the doctors, and the child opens it, and they were all sort of there, and they were bombed, and one is being burnt alive, and you see it. It's just horror. Okay, so then I just moved on to thoughts. You have a reaction because you're human, and anyway, then I went on to other things, and I thought I have to do a video about this thing that I certainly see very clearly. I have 2 beefs here. One is women leaders. I have done many videos about them, how disappointed I am. And I've done too many videos on it, on the same topic. And I said I better let it rest for a few months. Okay. But the other beef I have is with, and I have talked about it too, about American Protestantism having appropriated the word Christian, whereas in fact Protestantism is Calvinism. Actually, it's not even Lutheranism, and the fact that they call themselves Christians, and so everybody else who is not a Calvinist is something else, whatever it might be. Hence the expression that was originated in the 70s, this Judeo-Christian tradition. And to a traditional Catholic, Calvinism is a heresy. So I thought, okay, so here I have the world being governed by one political philosophy, or by one heresy that calls itself Christian, and the other one, because I'm going to tell you about a video, very emotional video I watched from a rabbi in New York, an Orthodox Jew, who is talking about heresy, also the heresy of the Jewish religion. And before I watched that video, I thought I have to get my thoughts together to talk about 2 heresies that are united in governing the world, the West as it is. And then I thought about it, trying to gather my thoughts together, and I thought, no. No, because I don't know enough about it. I know about Christianity, but I don't know enough about Judaism and the Jewish religion, and I don't even know whether they would have this word heresy in Judaism or heretical, or they would have some other word for it. And I said, Lalina, just put it aside, because anything to do with religion, it's very deep, it's very intimate, and I don't know anything about it, so let's not put words that perhaps are not applicable there. And so I decided not to do it, okay? But then it happens a lot when I'm thinking about something, and then I said, no, you don't know enough about it, and you just know a little bit. And this is what ignorance is. You know a little bit and you think that that is the whole thing. I said, no, leave it aside. Okay, but yesterday I saw this video. It's a Jewish, Orthodox Jew rabbi in New York. And he is there talking, and at first it appears that he's just talking to a few people. He's there by himself. But no, then the camera zooms out a little bit, and there are quite a few, I would say a few hundred actually. He had quite a crowd. And 3/4, I will put the video there, the link there, so that you can watch it. It's about 12 minutes or something, not very long. And 3/4 into it, it starts pouring with rain actually, and the old rabbi keeps talking and about the fact that he feels very strongly that the Zionist is actually a heresy, that they are heretical. And I thought, oh, so they do use that word. They do consider other sectors heretical too. And I'm just going to read you just 2 minutes of it. It's very short, but this is how he starts. I pray to the Almighty to bestow upon me His truth, His wisdom, that I may be worthy of conveying His message and sanctify His name and bring peace to the world. And then he says, people in Gaza, people in Lebanon, hear me. Please hear me. Hear our voices. We are not only here. His English is not his first language, okay? Nothing wrong with it, but okay. We are not only here. We are everywhere, in every corner of the world. We are crying with you. We are hurting with you. I am here not because I think that what I'm doing is important. I'm here because I cannot be at home and watch you burn. From day one, when these, I'm saying literally what he says, okay? When these groups of heretics who decided they wanted to form a sovereignty of selfish nationalism, all the rabbinical authorities around the world stood up and said, you are criminals, you are heretics, you cannot do what you are doing. And they stood up and said, we are the Jews. And they took the Star of David, and they took the name Israel, and they told the world, don't listen to these rabbis, they don't count, we count. There is an Almighty, and He allowed us Satan, and Satan has power. They are enjoying the bombing of God's creation, of innocent women and children, and they are being successful. But this will end, and God will then ask them, Why are you, God will ask them, why are you rebelling against me? Judaism is a covenant we made 3,000 years ago in Mount Sinai to be subservient to God. In the last hundreds and hundreds of years, he goes on for a little while, then he just says this, in the last hundreds and hundreds of years, who were the ones that embraced us? The Jews. It was the Muslim and Arab countries. We lived amongst them in peace. What changed? The introduction of a selfish nation, a movement called Zionism. This is a cancer. Anyway, I will put the video. As I said, it's not very long. It's about 12 minutes or so. And you can watch it. He goes on for quite a while. So basically, we have an Orthodox rabbi saying that there is a heresy there that has appropriated Judaism. Okay, so then I said, okay, so there is something like a heresy in Judaism, but I am confused because there are two completely different peoples among the Jews, or different, not religions, different sectors within the religion that call themselves Orthodox. Because there is it appears to me, not knowing much about it, but it appears that there is the Orthodox Jews, okay, faithful to the Torah, the first in the Old Testament, the first 5 books, yeah, and the prophecies and so on, okay, faithful to that religion. But then there is another group in New York, I think, that is, and I wrote it down, who also consider themselves Orthodox Jews, but they are completely different in their politics and their approach. Let me find it. Okay, I had to find the name. You see, okay, so in the religion, the Orthodox Jews, faithful to their religion, the old religion, and then there is another sect which there are many subdivisions to it, but it's called Hasidic, and there is one group in New York which is called the Lubavitch sect, which started perhaps at the end of the 18th century or beginning of the 19th century, and it started in Eastern Europe, and I think it was Lithuania, to be specific. Okay, and they brought it over. Now they call themselves also Orthodox Jews, but this last one seems to be much more political, in the sense that they are the ones who, it seems to me, are in favor of the state of Israel. So we have two groups that are supposed to be Orthodox Jews, one's faithful to the Torah and you know, the prophecies and so on, and the other one, which I'm sure they're also faithful to the Torah, but they are perhaps more in the manner of the Talmud. The Talmud was written, well, it started a little bit during the Babylonian period, but it was really is really a compilation of interpretation of laws and so on from the 5th century and so on. And this, it would appear to me to be a little bit more political, more sort of right wing, as it were, if we can put it in political terms. Okay, so I come back to my original thought that if people if this Zionist, this Rabbi saying, is calling them heretics and heretical, and from my own Catholic perspective, I see Calvinism as a heresy, we have two heresies come together with the same view of life, similar religion, in the sense that, that actually are the ones governing the world. So really, instead of, as Americans say all the time, a Judeo-Christian tradition, these people should call themselves the Calvinist or Protestant-Zionist tradition. That is where they come together. I will read more about it. I'm very interested in this topic. In any case, okay, so that is one thing that I wanted to discuss. The other one is totally different. Leave the old rabbi and religion aside. And the other one is on politics. And in the West, we are in the garden. The rest of the world is the woods or the jungle, they said. Okay, so let's see how the garden is doing. And so we have to look at the gardeners. These gardeners of ours who are looking after the garden. These third-rate, petty, don't get me started, leaders, okay, who feel at the moment perhaps invincible, and because they feel invincible, they feel that they can go unpunished. They certainly feel unaccountable, and they feel that they can do and say what they want and go unpunished. In other words, they just if they are in one position, they have one office, and they do well or badly, it doesn't matter. They move on, they're moved around, and they never leave. And I was watching a video about Europe and with Orban there, the European Union, just following up on all that. And just thinking about Europe, or rather the European Union, and how Europe has allowed itself to be subjected to other interests which may not be in Europe's interest. And we see, the most standard example is Germany. I mean, if you remember the Greens, my goodness, I do remember the 70s and Petra Kell, and they were, for the most part, sort of leftists, as it were. They used to be called watermelons in those days, because the idea was that they were green on the outside, but red, left on the inside. Well, that has completely changed. Yeah, a turnover completely. Now they are the more bellicose, it seems, in Germany, the Greens. I think there has been a rotting from the inside. Okay, so how about this? How do we explain this dependency, this submission of Europe to interests that may or may not be in the interest of Europe? Because what is happening is certainly that there is escape of people are fleeing, brains are fleeing, capital is fleeing Europe, corporations too are fleeing Europe, some to the United States, some to China, wherever. And this idea that Russia is our enemy, okay, that really that Russia has to be excluded from Europe. I mean, how can you think of Europe without Tolstoy, without Dostoevsky, without all the great composers? Anyway, okay. So here we are in a situation where, look, we used to have the cavalry and the infantry and the navy and the air force and then space, okay, to combat wars. But now we have a cognitive war going on. And they actually operate cognitive maneuvers. Because it is just as important now, not just to defeat the enemy in battle, but actually to win over people's minds, the minds of citizens. And each citizen, young, old, rich, poor, whatever, male, female, is now considered almost a soldier. Not wanting to be one, not knowingly, but a soldier nevertheless. And your mind is territory to be occupied, to occupy minds. That is the strategy. So that they are programming, formatting our minds to think in this one particular way. And I think that this is another type of war, a way to fight a war. And I think we have to go back to rationality and reason and common sense. There is a lot of irrational thought going about. It's like a contagion. It's almost magical thinking. And when you analyze it, is you could say that it's even below pseudoscience. Sometimes I think the horoscope has more truths than what we hear sometimes. So rationality, reason, some logic in what we are told. Some logic respecting at least, the minimum, the principle of no contradiction. One thing cannot be it and the opposite at the same time. We have to go back to these basic elements of reason and common sense. Russia cannot be running out of ammunition and losing the war whilst at the same time wanting to invade Europe and go all the way to Lisbon. It is contradictory. Go back to those principles that you can in some way, somehow, begin to disoccupy your mind. Disoccupied one's mind of that irrationality, of that irrational way of thinking, which is almost magical. It's where the cognitive war is being fought. And if we do that, we have to have a historical perspective of facts, of current facts, because current facts did not just sprout out like mushrooms, all out of a little bit of rain and out of nothing. I'm going to stop there. I was going to continue, but I think I'll leave it short because the next topic that I wanted to bring in is going to occupy quite a little bit, a lot of explaining to do, so I'm going to leave it there. But can we at least fight this war and first of all try to go back to reason and disoccupy the territory of your mind from the constant 24/7 propaganda? Then we can start to think, and we will disagree, but at least take things into both sides perhaps into perspective, but do it rationally and reasonably. Okay, I'm going to leave it there for today. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.